Black Ops 6 is a game full of unexpected twists and turns, keeping you on the edge of your seat. But the biggest twist in Black Ops 6 is how you are betrayed from the inside by one of the main characters, and that main character is so set on stopping you, Woods, Marshall, and Adler, that they actually brainwashed your character to ensure they could be stopped. So for those of y'all who don't know, I am IceBurgz, your Call of Duty informant, and let's dive right into the info you need to know. Someone on your rogue Black Ops team is betraying you and is working for Pantheon, the villains of Black Ops 6. But luckily, I've figured out who it is. Jane Harrow, the newest addition to the Black Ops universe, and let me tell you why I know she is betraying you and how she rigged the game from the start.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
So first, Jane Harrow is the newest character in the Black Ops universe, but her newest biographic information that Call of Duty on their YouTube channel posted states that she was trained by Russel Adler in espionage, she is the new CIA Special Operations Director for the Special Activities Division, which was Hudson's old job, and she is an idealist ready to protect the United States. The problem is, Jane Harrow is too good. She is too good of a person for the Black Ops universe. There is not a single Black Ops character who does not have their faults. I mean, Woods literally blew up Menendez's sister worse than me blowing up my toilet after Taco Bell.
Tactical nuke incoming!
And Hudson always withheld information from the main characters in every Black Ops game, and they are the best of the good guys. Jane Harrow is too good of a good guy, especially for the Black Ops universe. But that's because Call of Duty wants us to think that she's the good guy, even though I have plenty of proof that she brainwashed you in Black Ops 6 and is working for Pantheon. But this all starts with this scene right here from the newest Call of Duty trailers.
Isn't that your friend?
This scene right here shows that Troy Marshall, someone he is friends with, has betrayed him and is working for Pantheon. And when you actually combine it with the other scenes we see from different trailers, you see that every single main character in the game is in this shot right here, except for one. That one person is Jane Harrow. Every other friend of Troy Marshall's is in the room except for Jane Harrow. And what would make a more shocking betrayal than your inside man, the CIA, and your direct leader who is helping you throughout the entire Black Ops 6 campaign, who is Troy Marshall's closest friend, betraying you. And interestingly, I dove into this scene in great detail the other day in a separate video, I'll clip at the end here, but this recording that we're actually being shown in the campaign has something to do with testing Pantheon's new chemical weapon on actual living people. This is a test run of what it would look like on a human being. And it is my understanding that this new chemical weapon, based on all the footage we have seen so far from the trailers, is a psychoneurotoxin. And basically, it makes you really, really angry.
I kinda got a little angry.
And it also kind of makes you really, really hallucinate. So what this actually does is it creates a scene where a person will envision in their head something that they hate or something that they fear, and then they will have rage pumping through their veins as they try to fight this. Now, anyways, that's what I believe the chemical weapon is. But what would make it worse than not only being betrayed by someone you trust, but also that person being the lead director of establishing Pantheon's new chemical weapon, a chemical weapon they intend to use on civilian targets? I think that right there would make Troy Marshall's reaction a lot more understandable than if he was just being betrayed. The person he trusts the most, and we see him actually call after breaking Russel Adler out of the CIA black site, and the person he believes he can trust the most, betraying him. What adds to this intrigue even more is that Jane Harrow actually sets an ambush for the rogue Black Ops team, which we'll talk about in a minute. But these are not the only reasons I suspect Jane Harrow is a traitor and working for Pantheon. So first off, Jane Harrow was directly trained by Russel Adler in the ways of espionage. She has something no other person on Earth has: a unique view into Russel Adler's mind.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
How he works, how he thinks, and how he operates. However, she would also know that Russel Adler was compromised by the brainwashing Stitch did to him in 1984, meaning that he is not trusted by the CIA and already has people watching his every move suspecting him of being a double agent. One of the things they told us about Adler in his biographic video is he is still wanted for killing CIA assets. The asset he killed was Bell in Cold War, so he has a history of killing his teammates. Following the death of Hudson and Mason in 1989, the CIA would understandably launch an investigation into finding the mole who got Mason and Hudson killed. But the question is, who would do the investigation? Who would take this role of investigating who the mole is? Well, you'd probably assume it would be the person who takes Jason Hudson's position following his death. The first thing you gotta do in that position is find out who killed your predecessor. Well, who takes Jason Hudson's position? Jane Harrow. If Jane Harrow wanted to frame Russel Adler as the mole, it would be really, really easy. He was not trusted by the CIA, he had been compromised by Russian brainwashing, and he had a previous history of killing his teammates. It would be the easiest thing in the world to frame Russel Adler as the mole responsible for Hudson and Mason's deaths. And on top of this, Jane Harrow would have a twofold betrayal. Not only would she betray Russel Adler, on top of this, Jane Harrow would have a twofold betrayal. Not only would she betray Russel Adler, she would also betray Marshall by setting up an ambush with the hopes of killing him after he saves Russel Adler. Now, real quick, I want to make a note of something. Jane Harrow is working for Pantheon. Pantheon wanted both Alex Mason, Jason Hudson, Frank Woods, and Russel Adler all dead because they are the only 4 people who knew about the Russian numbers brainwashing. However, as I learned later on, Frank Woods really doesn't know anything about the Russian brainwashing. He was just kind of there when this stuff happened. The real kind of 3 big targets were Alex Mason, Jason Hudson, and Russel Adler. Russel Adler had been brainwashed and then de-brainwashed. Alex Mason had been brainwashed and then de-brainwashed. And Jason Hudson was the person responsible for de-brainwashing them. They have a whole reason for brainwashing, which is talked about in another video. I'll link at the end again. But anyways, back to what we're talking about. However, we also know that in the Black Ops 6 campaign, Troy Marshall, Frank Woods, and the other rogue Black Ops agents are ambushed at their safe house, and we see this clip right here, which actually shows us the team fighting Pantheon soldiers trying to attack their safe house. But let me ask you, how would Pantheon know about the safe house? It's a former KGB safe house, not on the CIA's records. Trackers were not as small as they were today, so they couldn't have planted a bug on anyone to follow them back to the safe house. They would have had to know the location of the safe house or learned it from somebody. What I believe happens is that Jane Harrow is just monitoring Woods and Marshall to see how close they get to discovering Pantheon and their plans. And after Marshall and Woods free Adler and learn of Pantheon's new chemical weapons, she sends in a Pantheon kill team to eliminate the entire rogue Black Ops team, because she would be the only other person who was not at the safe house who would know the location of the safe house. But this brings me to the kind of biggest knot in the rogue Black Ops team, is the fact that they have a second traitor on their team who does not know he's a traitor. William Case Calderon. I have a ton of evidence to prove that Case was brainwashed by Pantheon and implanted alongside Frank Woods and Troy Marshall to keep track of them and to kill Adler given the opportunity. It helps explain why the mannequins that Case sees in this Black Ops 6 mission right here all look like Adler. But Case would have had to have been brainwashed by somebody, and he would have had to have been assigned to the same team as Woods and Marshall after his brainwashing, by someone pretty high up in the CIA, someone like the Special Operations Activities Director, a position that Jane Harrow took over following Jason Hudson's death in 1989, giving her the full ability to manipulate everyone from the shadows while helping Pantheon achieve their goal. But I don't believe she's the leader of Pantheon. A Pantheon itself is a group of leaders who make decisions together. However, I think she's just one level down from the true leaders of Pantheon. But I have a video coming out in a few hours talking about the entire Black Ops 6 campaign, where I'll tell you everything you need to know about Pantheon and the entire campaign broken down by mission. So make sure you subscribe for that, and until next time, I am IceBurgz, your Call of Duty informant. Stay frosty.